Zero.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Brainy's Peach Tea, episode 180 for those who are counting.
180. We are very close to our 200th.
We're getting there, baby. We're getting there.
That's crazy.
It's crazy to think about it. Thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us in the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, or wherever you found your audio on podcast, we appreciate the support. And we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. Our song is Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie, which is inspired by our movie of the week, which is The Crow Salvation. Because, listen, when we set our minds to do a run, we're in for the run. It doesn't matter good, bad, or indifferent.
We are.
We're there. We finish what we start. Right, Jason?
I broke a cardinal rule. I broke a promise I made to myself 20-something years ago when I saw The Crow 2 City of Angels again. Look, if I do that, that's commitment.
It is. And I appreciate the commitment because we do it so you don't actually have to. But we did watch The Crow Salvation this week. And also a big night for us and a lot of others where we're going to say farewell to Superman and Lois as they had their series finale this past Monday night. And also to the Arrowverse, which is ending. And also bigger than even the Arrowverse, the CW, DC shows on the CW. Like, it is over. All of it. There's more than there's a couple more than the Arrowverse. It's kind of nuts to think about.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely the end of an era, and a big end for us because when we first started, that was our big bread and butter was the Arrowverse and the CW shows. And I remember when you first told me we were covering them because I thought we were just covering movies. And I was like, I gotta keep up with all this. I just had a kid. How the fuck am I going to do that? But I did. And that was a big for us, right?
You did. And that was that's been our format. We've covered the network TV shows, then we go into the streaming shows, and then we kind of have our movie of the week. But this is going to end that because there's no more network comic book shows, at least right now. There's not. I mean, who knows if one arises.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, which I don't think so. I mean, not for DC for sure. James Gunn has gotten, things locked down. And honestly, I think if they were interested in continuing these shows, they wouldn't have canceled this one.
Yeah, I agree, because he even acknowledged it. Like, I remember when he first took over, he was just like, that one's going to continue a little longer because people seem to really, really like it. And he let them, he gave them some time to wrap it up. He didn't want to just abruptly pull the plug, which I kudos to him. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to go on forever. But he let them wrap up.
Look, no one said he needed to let them go on indefinitely, but he did the right thing by letting them end on, giving them time to go, okay, you know what? We'll give you half a season to end what you started. I think that's more than fair.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to be doing that. And also, so all of that. So it is a big night for us. But Jason, what's up, dude? How's your week been? It's the last time we chatted and, we wrapped up X-Men. We're right. I feel like we're just ending eras lately. Every show's another good farewell.
We are. It's crazy. We did. We said goodbye to the Penguin and the father, the son, the Rex Calabrese. We said goodbye to
most important
Agatha all along. Before that, I mean we're just saying goodbye left and right here. Now today it's the end of this. I mean, what's next? What are they going to take from us next? Who are we going to say goodbye to next?
Yeah, I think some of those have a shot. Like Agatha, I have a feeling we're getting a season 2, but let's see. Penguin, it's possible.
I read that Catherine Hahn I read that Catherine Hahn wasn't interested in coming back.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't. I can't say that I've seen that, but I will say that, hey, and before Penguin aired, we heard that Colin Farrell was just doing this one limited series and it was over. He had no interest, but then as soon as the finale dropped, suddenly he's like, if it's right, I'll do it. Plus, we know we're going to see Oz again. Yeah. He's going to be fighting Batman.
Yeah, we will
again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. So we haven't said goodbye to Oz for forever.
Yeah, and we better not be the last we see of Agatha, because you left us with a cliffhanger that you better address. Like, we can't add this to the never-ending pile of MCU open threads.
Yeah, which is, it's, you know, like the Arishem, statue in the middle of the ocean, or whatever happens at the end, since we know we're not getting a Blade movie. So we heard, who the hell was that whispering then, if that wasn't Mahershala Ali's Blade? And
yeah, I don't know. It's funny with that, right? Because like Kevin Feige keeps reassuring us that they're very much behind Blade, and they want to do it and everything like that, but they're not going to try to like screw it up, right? Like, they know they can't drop the ball on it. So I'm curious. And then you got like the dialogue from Deadpool and Wolverine, where Wesley Snipes is talking about it was only one blade, or it was only going to be one blade.
I would love if they give Blade like a Logan type swan song, and then that's it. That's all we get from Blade, and it's always Wesley Snipes. It was Wesley Snipes in the beginning, and it was Wesley Snipes at the. I'm all for that. I love Mahershala Ali, but I just love the symmetry of that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I don't know. I'm very torn with the Blade stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious to see. I hope the movie just doesn't like vanish into thin air. I'm hoping we get something some way, somehow. You can't leave. You got to. I'm sure he has a list of these open threads that we're going to start closing them or just addressing them one by one. I highly doubt they're all going to go just like poof, like just there. It would suck.
Yeah, but I think it is. They introduced a lot. They introduced a lot, because we talked about it, the oversaturation. Like, I was thinking, hey, you remember the time Scar showed up, the Hulk's kid? Yeah. That was a couple of years ago. Like, so I mean, and that's what I think is. I think they opened more threads than they had the time to close.
Yeah, and we've gotten into other discussions about this, right? Like with the MCU, and it's gotten complicated over the last couple of years. And Bob Chapek, the reports are when he was running Disney, he was just like, quantity over quality. I don't give a shit. Put it out. And unfortunately, like,
right,
not all these things can be checked, and now you have all these things to address. And now that you've gone back to like scaling it back a bit, now I'm sure you just have to do it somehow, some way, even if it's a line, something.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah, something. I don't know what that is.
What's the line is? The line is, there's going to be one line in one show where someone goes, "Hey, do you remember Scar and Agatha?" and just list down like all of the things, like all of the people that we haven't seen. They just go, "Yeah, they went back to their home planet. Their home planet needed them." It's a very easy way to just write them out.
It's funny. It reminds me, like, there's a shirt on 80s Tees, a RoboCop shirt that I was like looking at, and I've been trying hard not to go ahead and just go get. And it was on the top, it just says me trying to avoid talking to people, and then it's RoboCop when he just abruptly walks away. It's like somewhere there's a crime happening, and he's just like he does it like 3 or 4 times during the movie.
That's phenomenal. Somewhere there's a crime happening. Okay, I wonder if I can get away.
I have to go.
Like, every time I want out of a conversation, crime calls.
Yeah, exactly. There was a point where I used to use the American Psycho line for that. Like, I have to go return some videotapes, and it would confuse the shit out of people so much. Like, what is he talking about? And I would just leave. It would open.
That's awesome. Oh, that's phenomenal.
All right.
So
Speaking
actually, so before we get into it, I want to say I started a deep dive on my own, which is tangentially related to this. I've decided to go back and this is just for me. I'm not going to do a podcast about it, but I'm going to watch a whole bunch of westerns.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because there's a lot of parallels between comic book movies and westerns, and I've been doing some research into it, and it all has to do with like the self identity and how we identify as like Americans. Pretty much, it's the lone hero who comes in and cleans everything up, and it's vigilante justice and everything. So I'm kind of going to do a tangential deep dive into Western. So I'm only bringing this up because at some points I will spend my time in the beginning while you share out the show talking about different Westerns and their connections to comic books.
Interesting. All right. So it means you're going to get to the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns, like was it The Man with No Name, like trilogy or whatever?
Well,
or I don't know how many there were.
But yes, I will. Like those, I've actually seen, but I will watch those. I just watched Unforgiven recently. I'm going to rewatch that at the end because that's a beautiful movie. I'm going to get into. I'm actually going to tread into terrain that I've never been in. I'm going to John Wayne country because I hate John Wayne, not just as an actor, but as a human being. I think he was despicable, and so because of those two things, I avoid every John Wayne movie except for one. And that I like that because of Lee Marvin and Jimmy Stewart. But I'm actually going to go back and watch some of the big John Wayne classics so I can really get the full scope of the genre.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And so man, I'm kind of curious to see how this thing shakes out for you.
Yeah, so I'll every time I'm not on a schedule. I'm going to watch it when I have time in between the podcast stuff and my duties at home and at work. But when I have something to talk about, I'll bring up and we'll have a little 6-shooter Jason corner. I don't know, that's a shitty title, but I'll come up with something before we actually start it. I could bring in some connections. And this is the teacher in me. This is because they won't let me teach a class like this in my high school, and I don't have certification to teach college, and where I could get away with this. And I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. I got a podcast. I'll just take 5 or 10 minutes every couple of weeks for there, and I'll teach my ass off about westerns and comic book movies.
Why not? I say why not? Go for it, man.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna turn our own show on its head a little bit, and we're actually gonna start with the movie first this week before we get to the end of the Arrowverse, which is a big deal here. So for those who have followed, with the new Crow dropping this year, we usually go ahead and we'll do our rewatch of the original franchise. And it's been scatterbrained a little bit here and there because we got interrupted, but we will finish this. And it's almost over, Jason. It's almost over.
Almost over.
All right, we got one more after this. So back.
And I'll tell you, you just inadvertently described all of these movies except for the first one, crow droppings. I know that's not what you meant, but that's exactly what these movies are, crow droppings.
They're something. I will say that. This was back in 2000. In the year 2000.
Oh my God.
We were blessed with a direct-to-video sequel. The first of 2 direct-to-video sequels. Back in an era and prior where direct-to-video sequels were a big thing, apparently, for various reasons. And, they decided to go here with this. And we get The Crow's Salvation. Okay, which stars Kirsten Dunst just before she made her debut as MJ in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, which is just crazy to say out loud. I can't believe this is a thing.
Insane. It's insane. I mean, and the fact that there are people in this that I've heard of is crazy. Like William Atherton's in this. Fred Ward is in this. There were more names in this than there was in City of Angels, and that was a theatrical release.
Yes, absolutely. That's why it's kind of baffling, and it's why it's so fascinating to take a look at franchises how we do here, and also over on PCB Deep Dive, where the just the things that happen over the course of a franchise it's really interesting to look at. Like, how
it is.
How did this happen? Like, Kirsten Dunst wasn't a big name yet, right? She wasn't like, she was known, like she was in Interview with the Vampire and stuff like that at this point, but like she was going from like child actress to adult actress. So there is that. Fred Ward, whose career we were discussing on our text, like, is just
bizarre,
all over the place. It's a weird thing.
He's in a movie called Remo. The Legend Continues.
It's the first. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Like, they even said in the title. Right.
Adventure Begins. Yeah.
In the title, they're like, franchise coming.
And that was before franchises were a thing. They were really forward thinking with everything except for making a good movie, because I think that movie kind of sucks.
That movie sucks, but I'm glad I'm not the only one that witnessed that, because as a kid, I remember like thinking like it was a thing. Because wasn't Louis Gossett Jr. in that also?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And some I think Louis Gossett Jr. was the friend, and there was also someone who training him, right? Like there was someone. I don't know if he was famous or not, but I do remember. I knew who he was when I saw it as a kid.
Yeah, well, I'll look that up in a minute, but like, it's such an interesting cast. All right, I guess we can just keep on going with the cast. Like William Atherton, like you mentioned, and it's funny because like he in the 80s, and in 90s, I guess he was like your standard asshole. Like the two roles that come to my mind are Ghostbusters when he was Peck, and I was like, this man has no dick.
Of course. And look. As soon as he got on screen, I almost texted you that. Like, Dickless is in this movie because this man has no dick. Is that true? Yes, Your Honor, it is. This man, in fact, has no dick. That's exactly what I thought when I saw him on the screen.
Every time I see him, that's the first thing I think, which is unfortunate. And then
he's
Die Hard.
A great actor.
No, he is. He plays the asshole great. And then in Die Hard, he's the reporter who.
That's right.
Sorry, no, not Lucy McLean. Shit. Yeah, it'll come to me.
Holly, right?
Holly McLean punches she punches him in the face at the end. He's the one who goes to the house and threatens he goes to talk to the kids while the whole thing's going on. Mm-hmm. And then he threatens the babysitter with like ice and everything like that. Like, such an asshole.
That's right. And he's the reason that Hans Gruber realizes Holly is John McClane's wife, right? Because he's
exactly
putting it all over the media. So he's a real piece of garbage in that.
Yes, and this is the guy who watches it every Christmas Eve for God knows how many years now, forever. So to start off December, yes, the answer is yes. I'm going to reaffirm this. Die Hard is in fact a Christmas movie. Sorry, that's what it is. Not going to spend a huge amount of time on this, but it is what it is.
We've had this discussion before. Tons of times.
And then a young Walter Goggins is one of the corrupt cops in this movie.
That blew my mind. And you texted me that before I clocked him, and I was like, "Oh, did I miss him?" And then when he came on, I'm like, "No, I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't clock him at first, but once I knew to look for him, oh my God, it's like him but baby. He's like Baby Goggins.
Baby Goggins. Yeah. If for those who may not recognize the name, yes, you saw him if you watched Fallout on Prime Video earlier this year, and he's the ghoul in that, and he's great. He was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah. He's all over the place. He's Justified. He was on and stuff like Walter Goggins is great.
Yeah. He was in The Hateful Eight, which I love his character. I'm one of the few people who love that movie.
I do love that movie as well. I'm with you.
So that's on my list because that's a Western I always want to watch. But he's fantastic in everything he does. And I'm going to say I like him in this too. You could see the talent.
Yeah, you can see that. That's the thing. This movie has some acting talent in it that you can recognize if you peel through the other stuff that's going on here. Right, like Fred Ward's an actor. He was an actor. Like Kirsten Dunst, by the way, I will say, not good in this. She's pretty bad in this movie.
Well, look, as someone who had a crush on Kirsten Dunst for a very long time, as someone who followed her career, I had never seen this because it's a Crow movie. But
So you didn't follow it here.
No, I didn't follow it here. I don't love anyone that much, except for clearly you and our audience. But but I've seen some bad stuff with her in it. I still like her. She's not the best actress. She was really well cast as MJ. And she was fantastic in Interview with the Vampire. But like if you watch and she was really good in The Virgin Suicides. But like outside of that, everything's kind of like mid, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the main character, the Crow in this movie, is the character of Alex Corbius is played by Eric Mabius, who probably
that sounds familiar.
In Resident Evil.
That is where I know the name from because I have seen that movie sadly more than once. Because I admit it's not a good movie, but I kind of like it.
I have seen. He was in multiple Resident Evils, apparently. I mean, allegedly. I can't totally trust Google all the time.
He's one of the leads, right?
Yeah, he was in the first one, and apparently
the
final chapter.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, he's basically is our Crow in this movie, and I guess the short synopsis of this thing is. The movie opens up where he is being tried for murder. He's on death row and he's about to get murdered. He's about to die on his 21st birthday and they're going to execute him. And it happens and he's wrongfully guilty. And everything turns out he was set up and he's bestowed the power of the Crow and has to get revenge and right the wrongs, as these movies, as the whole point of this thing is supposed to be. Goes after this group of corrupt cops to get revenge for his girlfriend who witnessed a murder. And Kirsten Dunst plays the sister, who I guess is the sort of younger girl role in the first movie and second movie inexplicably. Remember how like when we covered City of Angels, we were like, we can't believe they actually tried to continue the character.
Oh yeah, is she supposed to be the same character?
No, not in this. Not in this. No, this movie.
Okay.
At least somewhat smartly stays clear of the first two completely, except for in a very muddled way when the captain just happens to say, "Oh yes, I've read about this. I know of this," then somehow doesn't actually gets it wrong. I guess we can get into this before we go through some of the other insanity that I've noticed through this movie. He completely says that he's heard of this somewhere, but very vaguely mentions it, and thinks that and doesn't know the mythology of the Crow apparently, because he thinks they can lie to. I have no fucking idea. Because, Jason, is this movie set in the same universe as the second movie? Like,
maybe it is.
The second movie, how it was
fine.
Like dystopian Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah. No, it looks nothing like it doesn't feel dystopian at all. It doesn't look dystopian at all. I think it is actually supposed to take place in the same universe as the first two.
I agree.
Which, fine.
I agree.
I'm going to hand wave that. Because
you're so nice.
This is a direct-to-video. And no, we got to be fair. We got to be fair. This is shit. I didn't like this, but let's be fair. This was better than Crow City of Angels, and this was direct-to-video, and that was a theatrical release. I can ding this less because I know that theatrical releases get a lot more budget. So they probably just didn't have the budget to give the tone. So, you know what? I'm gonna hand wave that. But what I'm not gonna hand wave is how the fuck does this guy hear about this? Like, that doesn't make any sense, dude. Are cops talking like, "Hey, you remember the time that that guy was resurrected by a crow and killed a bunch of people?" Like, how the fuck do they know that? Is Ernie Hudson running his mouth from the first one? He's the only one who'd be able to.
You want to know something? You just made a fairly good point because, like, let's just say Ernie Hudson was in this movie and he kind of like gave them the information on this or something, or he was just a retired cop and talked to them.
That would be fine.
Even in a cameo, fine. But the way it's presented is so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's kind of just like, oh yeah. To make this fit into the universe, I've heard of this before. Okay, and
well, let's take it a step further, right? Because there's something else that might even be more absurd than this that happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie that completely drove me up the wall the entire time. And you're laughing, you already know what I'm talking about. I can tell. Let's talk about the Crow mythology that the captain supposedly heard. So, in his understanding, right, once he sees there is somebody with their air quotes face painted going around killing people.
Yeah.
Okay? He says, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this." And then proceeds to think that he can lie to him and that will take away his power because he's under the understanding that Alex is looking for somebody with scars on their arm. He plants an arm with scars on its arm so Alex can see it during one of the action sequences. And then that takes away his power temporarily until the sister gives it back with a locket that he gave her.
Yeah.
And then he gets his power
that made
back.
No sense. Why would that take his power away? Why would he get his none of that makes sense.
Okay.
No, because it's like you're tricking the crow magic?
Exactly. No.
Like you can't trick crow magic.
No, because that's two people who watched the first two Crow movies in this, right? Because we're not even gonna
unfortunately
we're gonna push Crow 2024 outside of this because it does not exist in the same universe. So push to the side.
Yes, agreed.
Within its own canon, it wouldn't work. Like it makes no fucking sense, and it plays a pretty big part in this movie.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing is we've seen. I think we've seen so many of these. Was it the City of Angels or was it the New Crow, where, once that like it was a New Crow, right? Once he lost belief, his power started to wane or something like that. But that wasn't him being tricked and lied to. And I know it's not the same universe, but like it's a similar scene, which I think the newer one does better. Like I kind of like the idea of trying to subvert the crow magic in some way, or the crow losing or giving them some kind of weakness, but just lying and like saying, well, oh no, you killed that guy. The scar guy? No, he's dead. Look at the arm. And the crow is like, well, he's right. I'm taking your power. It's like, isn't this magic? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. You can't trick magic like that. Like that's just not how it works. We've seen it in the first two Crow movies. No. Like obviously the original, you get the woman who's on the side and she seems to know about this thing, and they figure out, okay, you got to kill the crow to take away his power, and then Eric is susceptible.
Which is fine, right? Because you give us a mystic who I don't need to know how she's a mystic. I don't need to know how she communes. You set up way before the moment you need her to reveal this information. You set her up as a mystic, psychic, who fucking can see the dead or whatever. Okay, so when that comes up later on, well, you've set that up. So good on you. This works. The second, and I get it. It's because you need to make the crow be able to be hurt. Because if not, then why do I care? Of course he's going to win. You can't hurt him. Yeah. The second one, oh God, I don't even remember. What did they do in the second one to take his power? It was something similar to fighting the crow, right?
No, they hurt the crow again. Yeah, they capture the crow.
That's it. They hurt the crow again.
So you have a consistency there, but in this movie, apparently, that's not a thing. You just can trick him, and suddenly. Yeah, once he thinks his mission's accomplished, then his power goes away.
Which, yeah, it makes no sense. And look, you could have been a bit clever with it. Like, okay, you know what? All right, I'm revising this movie. My good friend Ernie Hudson, who we could not afford to be in this movie, told me something similar about this. And so I know that the way to do this is to hurt Crow. But that didn't work out so well for the people that he was fighting in the last two movies. So I got an idea. We take the Crow, we abduct the Crow without hurting it, and convince him he's lost his power and he doesn't know any better because the Crow's not there. You know what? That's stupid, but it's way smarter than what we get.
Yeah, it's pretty moronic. And speaking of things that are moronic that don't make any fucking sense. So back in the beginning of this movie, Alex is sent to the electric chair, is given this leather mask for some strange reason that doesn't do absolutely anything, and he's electrocuted by a guy who looks like he's in this black hood and black thing, like he's one of these executioners that has like the big axe and everything. What the fuck was that about?
I don't know. It was so weird. It was
so goofy.
It's like they were like, no, absolutely. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like, where are we? Are we now in history? Is this like the Man in the Iron Mask being put in the fucking electric chair? That's why you got like, these 14th century or 15th century French people, guards like off with their head. Come on. I mean, it didn't make any sense. Like every movie I've ever seen with the electric chair, you're in a police uniform, right? Or whatever. You're in a uniform. You're not literally from the French Revolution and axe wielding executioner. You're just someone who was paid to flip the switch. And I don't understand the choices they made here. The mask made no sense. I've never seen anyone in any movie be put in a mask ever. If that's a thing, and this is the only movie that has ever gotten it right, I apologize. I've never attended an execution, but this seems hinky to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that and just say no. Nope, not a thing. And then he gets electrocuted. He gets executed. Is put into a morgue because they're gonna run an autopsy on him. Even the characters in the movie question how stupid this is. And he's put into a room and then awakens, and we see a scene where he looks in the mirror and his face is all burnt up and he starts literally peeling off globs of burnt flesh off his face.
Yes.
And Jason, gross. You're trying to tell me that the scarring that's left is supposed to be exactly the Crow makeup?
Yeah.
What
that
the
was so
fuck
dumb.
was that?
It was so dumb.
What was that?
I don't know. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. And I guess that's why they wanted the hood to, hey, wouldn't it be so hardcore if he gets the Crow makeup? He doesn't draw it. It's fucking scars from his burns. But like that, it doesn't work. And it looks bad. It doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. And Jason, he goes throughout this film for a good majority of it, talking to people that he knew before he was executed, including the sister, including his lawyer. None of them recognized this dude at all.
Ridiculous. Because even in the first one, the good one, every time someone who saw Eric Draven and who knew him in the past went, wait a minute, isn't that fucking Eric Draven? And isn't Eric Draven dead? Like everyone, like Ernie Hudson does it. The kid does it. I think, some of the skank, I think, does it. Like so many of them go, oh, wait, you're that guy? And this, it's like, he's like, hey, I'm just a stranger here. You've never seen me. I'm not doing anything to I just got these scars. I know it makes me look like a different person, but what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, which leads me into like the thing I'm sure, and I've complained about this before. Like, I think the dumbest people in a movie are the people in RoboCop 2, but in this movie, they're equally as fucking dumb. It is incredibly fucking stupid. Like, nobody could recognize this guy. His face is barely changed because he has two lines, and a little bit of stuff around his eyes, suddenly he's unrecognizable. His voice is exactly the same. Nobody recognizes anything.
Right.
Everyone's a bunch of idiots. I know eventually he gets called out on it, and that sort of gets corrected, but it's already too late. You've already done the majority of the movie of not being recognized.
Yeah. And also, let's go back to the first one. Eric Draven was dead for a year, and people still recognize him. This guy was dead for 5 minutes, and no one has any idea who he is.
That's another thing.
Like, I'm sorry,
you pointed that out.
If something happened to you, and I mourned you, and then you showed up at my house the next day going, hey, it's not Ed. I just have some questions for you. Blah, 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 Crow. I'd be like, Ed, that's clearly you. You need to tell me. I thought you were gone. What happened? Like, that would be a conversation we would have to have.
He never has that conversation with anybody, even when they recognize him.
No. It's like, oh, wait, you're Corvus. Yes, I am. Wow, that's weird.
No, doesn't happen. He also proceeds to this movie getting his revenge on these people, and the mystery is eventually shown that his girlfriend was witnessed a murder, and that's why these cops, these dirty cops, killed her. And apparently one of them has a thing with raping girls on cars that he tries to do multiple times throughout the movie. What is that about?
That was one thing where I was like, not in this movie, not in your direct-to-video Crow movie. Are we introducing a rapist cop? I'm sorry, it's too much for this movie. And the implication is he raped her right before before they killed her.
Yep.
And it's like, no, that's look. That happened in the first one, right? I believe they did rape her in the first one. They were psychopathic villains with a capital V. They were like, street gangs. They were animals. This doesn't make sense. Even if the cop has a thing for raping women against a car, you're not going to do that to someone you're going to murder and pin on someone else. Because what happens if you have a competent fucking autopsy who goes, wait a minute, there was sexual contact and some possible semen in here that isn't Corvus. Let's actually look into it. And wait, these cops don't want to look into it? Well, we got to elevate this to...
Yeah! Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. I just thought it was the opening of CSI. As soon as you started mentioning finding semen and autopsy and everything.
What's the move that what's his face does? Like,
oh yes, every single fucking time. Yeah, he takes the sunglasses off.
Yes. David Caruso.
In CSI Miami. Oh my god, there's a thing on YouTube. I guarantee I'm gonna send it to you because I used to watch those CSI shows. I love them. But the Miami one, that was a running joke that would go on with David Caruso. When he would do that, it was every fucking episode.
Right.
And he would have a one-liner to go with
it's such a dramatic. Of course. Like if he were doing it here, he would go, you know what happened to those cops? Corvus made them eat crow.
Dun, 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 dun. As the Who kicks in. I should have that queued up and just start playing. I should just give him playing it constantly.
Next time we
have a thing with a murder scene. But yeah, this guy apparently pulls women over because he tries to do it at another point and just tries to rape them on a car, like right in public. Like they're not even like hiding. It's bizarre.
No, it was so weird. And like there's that scene where he pulls over the woman who's driving as of a license because the licensed driver is drunk and passed out, and he puts his hand on her. He's like, "Get out of here." I said, "Get out of here. I got raping to do." It's like, God, dude, no.
It was so fucking weird. It's so bizarre. And there's this other thing that happens in this movie a couple of times where Alex is going around when he's got his crow powers, and the crow is like flying in the sky. At certain points, there's a lot of shots of him with like the stars of the night on top of him. And then Alex jumps from things and glides like a crow. And at one point, he jumps off something, and then the next scene, he's in the fucking police station. He jumps off a prison, and the next shot is him in a police station. What in the actual fuck, Jason?
I'm gonna say poor editing.
Yes,
I think that's
what it looks like.
That's what it is. Poor editing.
You're insinuating he flies.
Yes. Oh no, yeah, and it's like, no, that's one power the Crow doesn't have.
No, he doesn't actually become a crow. He's not a fucking vampire. Okay, that turns into a bat.
No,
it's not how this thing works, man.
The Crow brings him. Crow identifies people with bird-like names or crow-like names. Those are the people the Crow brings back. The Crow gives them superpowers or super strength and invulnerability, but he keeps flying for himself. That's the way the Crow works.
It's almost as if the writers of this movie and the director never saw the first two movies, and they kind of just looked at the back, like the Cliff Notes, and just went off that.
Yeah, absolutely. They were at the back of the fucking box for the first one. No, they were at the back of the box for the second one. They have no idea. They have no concept of what the first one looks like. and I'll tell you that this is one of my biggest problems with this movie is it's a copy of a bad copy. Because all of these Crow movies, every single one we've watched, and I cannot imagine it's going to change in the next one, they're trying to ape that first Crow movie without actually understanding what made that first Crow movie good. Like, giving me a 90s soundtrack or a nu metal soundtrack or whatever, that is not what made The Crow good. It's a great soundtrack. But that is not the thing that made it good. What made it good was the fact that it was intelligently written and well acted, and people put some time into it and money into it and thought about the story, something that is not in any of these two movies. And I texted you about like, wow, this is really, they're really trying to be the Crow, and you would point something out, and I was thinking about it, and you're like, yeah, but at least they are trying something different where it's corrupt cops. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it that. That's a cool idea. But then you need to do something with it. You're saying something about corrupt officials. You need to do something with it. That first movie is making a commentary about what happens when crime goes unchecked by the people who are supposed to keep in check, right? People get killed, people get desperate, people get murdered. It's making a statement. This says nothing about this just says, yeah, kill cops who come after you. Like, okay. Like, it doesn't give us anything new.
Yeah, because I do like the concept of this movie, the outside concept, right? The broad thing, before we get back to some of the head-scratching details that I noticed in this movie. Yeah, the person is wrongfully accused of murder this time, right? That's an interesting idea, right? Like, they're actually murdered.
Agreed.
And they're given a death sentence, and then they have to return to right the wrongs. You're right, against corrupt cops this time that set him up for this murder to begin with. I like that concept. It's the execution of that concept, which is just Looney Tunes in this movie. Like, it's just complete and utter nonsense. There's just bad editing, bad storytelling, not understanding the lore of the franchise that you're in the second sequel of. Like, all of that is just complete nonsense. And it's baffling. To be honest with you, it's just completely and utterly baffling.
I agree. And the fact is, it doesn't add anything to the lore. I think that's another problem is, what a sequel should do is add to the lore. So look at Smile and Smile 2, right? I saw those movies. Smile 2, some people liked it, some people did not. And that's fine. Both are valid opinions. But what you cannot do is ding it for not furthering or not giving us something else in that world. And that's my problem with all of these Crow movies outside of the first one, including the new one, which isn't even connected to these, is they're not trying to give us something new in the lore. They're trying to just tickle our nostalgia because we like that first one. And hey, I'll give you this nu metal soundtrack or whatever, this 90s grunge soundtrack or whatever. Hey, I'm going to make it look dark and everything, but we're not actually going to add anything. We're like, so we have this, right? This is new. Okay. So because he's fighting law enforcement and they're technically the good guys, maybe the Crow has to operate a bit different. I don't know. Something different than the first one. Don't just try to ape the fucking first one, because the first one was perfect. And if you're just going to ape it, you're never going to make something good.
No, I agree. And so apparently we do have a unexpected guest dropping in. I guess he watched The Crow Salvation and is super excited to discuss it. I am floored if this is the case, but Tim, what's up?
I have never seen The Crow Salvation. I am protesting the fact that you watched The Crow Salvation.
I mean, listen, we do what we set out to do, right? Like we covered The Crow. We gotta eat our crow also, do we not?
And I'm just something right now. It has not happened November 17th, 1997. Do you know what happened on that day?
November 17th, 1997.
I don't even know what happened November 17th, 2024.
True too.
Shit, no. I got nothing.
That was the night that Ravishing Rick Rude appeared on Monday Night.
And
time. Because if I turn this way, we are live on Unsportsmanlike Conduct at the same time.
Wow, nice. You are the Ravishing Rick Rude of Pop Culture Pros.
That's right. Doing a double live show all there, and I have to make history once again. But I will say this. Before, Steve, Fraught, you got to really quick. He's saying for our picks for last week. Ed,
I will jump over to that when we're wrapping up here.
Put it that way. Jump on when he's done. 16 last week, huh, Ed?
I had a 16-0 week. It's true, and in my office pool, same thing. Which, by the way, you can tell them I finished in a 3-way tie in my office pool at 16-0. Did not win.
Wow, he finished in a 3-way tie, 16-0 in his office pool, and did not win
because of the score tiebreaker from Monday night. How fucked up is that?
Real quick, I'll let you guys finish your show. I just had to make it 3-1. 2, Superman finale was fucking phenomenal. It was outstanding.
Nice. Yeah, we saved it actually.
We're going to get to that.
Because we want to wrap up the Arrowverse as a whole since now it's done.
It was great. I watched it today. It was a tearjerker. It was great. And yeah. So Ed, time afterwards, come on and let's argue some football nonsense.
Sure, we'll do.
I'm ready for the next. Let's do this.
Sunday.
Got it.
Later, man.
Later, fellas. Serious.
Right.
All right.
I think Tim just taught us that sometimes you run the gamut. Sometimes the gamut runs you.
All right. So, where the hell was I? Oh, it's funny because my notes read my notes. Funny, my notes for this entire movie end with a question mark and exclamation point, like constantly. That's like almost every fucking talking point that I have in this. Jason, I thought of you when one specific thing happened. Really specific.
Okay.
It's when he goes and tracks down the dude in the car, and we get Living Dead Girl and all this other stuff. And there was one really cool thing that happened, and I will say it is the coolest thing that happens in this movie. And then there's a completely asinine thing which made me think of you that happens shortly after that.
Okay.
Okay? The cool thing,
all right,
and I think you're going to agree with me on this, is when he's in the car talking to that dude and puts the gun in his mouth and he fucking shoots himself in the mouth. And we see like it's bad CGI, but whatever. I will hand wave this part because it's direct to video, and we see his whole thing like reform. Mm-hmm. That's an awesome concept.
I agree.
That was cool.
That was cool. That's very. I like the idea of him going, "Oh, I'm gonna hurt myself to scare you." It's very Freddy Krueger, actually. Like, I can't be hurt. You don't.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. That's exactly what it made me think of. Yeah. So I agree that is probably the coolest moment of the movie.
And then shortly after that, Jason, is when I thought of you, because once he kills this cop, this corrupt cop, he takes his black jacket.
That's right. Well, look, this is what I'm talking about, right? The Crow. Well, what do we know about the Crow? Well, grunge 90s music. So check. We got a little Rob Zombie. All right. What about he's got to have the scars, right? And the face paint. Wait, we can't afford face paint, but what if we give him 2 scars because of burns, huh? All right. What are we missing? Oh, the jacket. We got to have this whole scene where he gets the jacket. Stop it. Not every look. I love those jackets. I own one of those jackets. I've worn trench coats since high school. Sure. Not every fucking Crow needs one. Give me a Crow in a hoodie.
I was giving this movie props for giving us a Crow and kind of like a Michael Myers jumpsuit for a portion of this movie.
Yeah.
Right? He's got like the collar up and stuff. He's got the Michael Myers jumpsuit rocking. Mm-hmm. And then he has to get a trench coat, a black trench coat, because he has to be more Crow-like.
And that's it. They're aping the wrong things. They're not like, give us, like, honestly, you know what I would love? If they ever do this again, and it doesn't matter because I won't see it, because I've done my duty at this point after the next one. But I know, give me a Native American Crow. Considering the Crow is from Native American fucking legend, right? He doesn't have to wear a trench coat. He could, be a Native American who fucking wears flannel. I don't know. Why do they all have to look like Eric Draven? Because
I don't know.
It's good. Like, it doesn't make sense. Give us different incarnations, because while I'm watching these movies, I'm just reminded of a movie I really liked, played by an actor who I really liked, who unfortunately passed and couldn't do any more movies after The Crow. And I'm too distracted by going, man, I wish I was watching The Crow. Great movie. This guy isn't Big Top or Big Show, or the fuck that guy's name is. I always forget his name from the movie. Ernie Hudson is in this movie. Like they're aping the wrong things, and that's my big problem with it. Give us different characters of The Crow. Don't try to give us Eric Draven every time. T-Bird, there you go.
I didn't want to look it up. I'm like, no, I know this. I was like, I'm not going to cheat on this one. No, you're right. It keeps reminding you that, hey, this isn't this Crow franchise. Remember that movie you loved? This isn't it. But you love that movie.
Yeah.
And it also makes these movies worse because you keep reminding me how this is not that movie.
Absolutely. So, like, if you didn't try to give me the trench coat and all that shit, I wouldn't necessarily be harping on that movie.
No, but it's one of the things I'm going to ding this thing for. So when the captain shows up, okay, and we get Fred Ward in the movie, and he inexplicably, he's this police captain who's in full uniform, and he has this random secretary like draping over him, like he's basically screaming to everyone in the movie, this cop is dirty. He is obviously evil. How it's just so bad cartoonish in so many fucking ways.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've seen corrupt cops given more depth in fucking 60s Batman cartoons, all right, or 60s Batman comics. Like, these guys are like worse than Gotham cops, because you're right, there's no depth in them. They're just like, we're evil, haha, we're evil, look at me, I'm Fred Ward, I got women all over me, and clearly I'm on the take. It's like, but would you be if this, like, it's again, but this, why are we doing this? Because the guy in the first one, who's the head of the organization, has this thing where he's clearly evil, but he's a gangster. He's a villain. Like, he doesn't have to pretend not to be clearly evil. If you're a corrupt cop, you should be doing your very best not to be looking like you're clearly evil.
And this cop also, by the way, it is mentioned that part of the discovery here was they found out that the father was connected with these cops, and he had a criminal organization called Dirt that, by the way, gets brought up and then never is mentioned again and never gets resolved.
No. I actually can explain that.
Okay.
I actually do have an explanation for that.
Okay. Shoot.
It's because God made dirt, and dirt bust your ass.
Yes.
That's all I got.
So once Alex gets the captain, right? He goes ahead and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my revenge." Jason, this dude walks into the prison to electrocute this man in the same chair, puts the same fucking mask on him. Why does with the crow powers, you have the ability to walk into police stations to get evidence whenever you feel like it, and magically no one's around, and you walk into a prison with nobody around again, and you can just do whatever the fuck you want?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's not even Harley Quinn, who knows she's in a franchise where she can't be killed and is super powerful, needs to at least fight some cops when she breaks into a police station. Like, this made no sense. Like, you're right. Like, okay, if him getting into the station was a big thing and it was a fight and he had to get in there and fight them and whatever, okay, great. But you're right. He walks in, he walks out.
No problem. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Ridiculous.
And I also want to say that, like, just because you break into a prison doesn't mean you can use their electric chair like you know how to, like it's hooked up. I'm sure that the electric chair isn't always just sitting on live, ready to be thrown in. Like, I'm sure there are things you have to do to get online. There's processes and procedures and preparation. You can't just tap dance into your local, prison and fry someone on a whim. You can't do that.
You can't? What? Oh my god. And to end this movie, okay, Erin, who's the sister played by Kirsten Dunst, goes to visit Alex Corvus's grave. Can I ask you a question? What body was buried to do this? Who created this whole thing? Because Alex was dead before, no? Didn't he die like a couple of days ago? And the body has been walking around murdering people. So how the fuck does he? What body did they bury?
I don't know. That's a great question. And I'm gonna get another question. Why is he in a cemetery? Why does he have his own plot? He was he had no one, right? The only people he had in his life was the woman he was accused of murdering and her sister, right? Mm-hmm. Her sister's not going to be able to shell out a lot of bucks. Ariel, I'm sorry, this guy's being thrown in a fucking Potter's Field mass grave with a whole bunch of dead convicts. Like, if she wants to visit him, she's going to have to go to this place where it's like, wow, well, you're one of 100 people in this mass grave. Let me talk to you, because that's what would happen if you were fucking executed by the state and no one could pay for your funeral.
Yeah, there's just a lot of head-scratching logic that goes on throughout this movie. And listen, Don Mega, if you're watching this, you had a comment on Facebook group, which, by the way, I love the fact that you participate in a group and, you support the show. God bless you for liking this movie. Seriously, kudos to you. I want to like every movie we watch. I do. I really do. And this movie's fucking
Don,
garbage.
I will say this. If you're listening, Don, I will say this. I was a bit easier on this movie than I intended to be after seeing your comment, because it made me think about this movie. And that's when I went, okay, you know what? It was better than City of Angels, and it was direct to video. And that's why I'm hand waving some stuff. Because I'm like, you know what, Don, you got to me. Your comment, it made me a little lighter on this review. Even though I don't like this movie, I'm willing to give it some leeway based on what it is when it was made in the budget. But that leeway does not mean I like it. It's not. I don't think it's a very good movie.
This movie currently, and again, this is obviously Rotten Tomatoes is way after this, 18% critic score, 43% audience score.
What do you have the numbers for City of Angels?
Ooh, I can get that for you. I can definitely get that for you. Let's just see. Yeah, we can. Because I'm going to say right now, without looking at it, I don't even give a shit if it goes. This movie is better than City of Angels. I would, if I have to watch
I agree.
either one of these things again, I would definitely watch this over City of Angels. Okay.
Yeah, if you put a gun to my head and you said you have to watch this or City of Angels, I would politely ask you to shoot me. But if you refused, I would watch this again.
City of Angels, 14% critic score. Amongst more reviews, by the way. And 40%
there you go.
Fan score. So it has a lower score on both of them.
There you go. There you go. And that says it all. Because again, Salvation, direct-to-video, there's a lot of budgetary constraints there. But I'm going to say this. I think this Salvation attempted to give us something different. They just didn't understand what they had to change to make this interesting. You know, because they were still trying, as I said, they were still trying to give us Eric Draven in this new scenario, even though it wasn't Eric Draven. But at least it was cops instead of criminals. There was something else to it. So I'm going to give it that. I'm going to give it that credit. Like, overall, do I think you should watch this movie? No. Do I think you should watch any Crow movies outside of the first one? No. But if you're going to watch one, like, I'll be honest, if you've watched Crow 1 and you're like, you know what? Do I watch City of Angels, Salvation, or the new one? I'm going to say go with Salvation.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. It is better than Crow 2024, better than City of Angels. Don't want to even mention it in the same breath as the original.
No, you can't. You can't. The original is a real movie that does interesting things and is well written and well directed and well acted. And then there's the rest.
Yeah. But we actually do have one more to go next week. Another direct-to-video sequel starring Edward Furlong as the Crow in this movie.
He's like
in The Crow with Prayer.
Edward Furlong is such a bad actor. He's so bad. He makes me cringe in T2, and I love that movie.
I adore that movie. Absolutely.
It's almost a perfect movie. If they actually had someone who could act in his role, it would be a perfect movie.
He is the one thing that holds it back from being a perfect movie.
He is. Are you addressing moi?
He was annoying, Brat, which, whatever. Yeah, it's whatever. He doesn't bother me. I guess maybe just because I'm used to him being an annoying brat in that movie that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? For me, it's not even what he's saying. He's just saying it terribly. It's like you are starring with such talent as Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is very talented, and I think he is a good actor in his own right. You know, Linda Hamilton, who I think is the fucking, the actor in that movie. Like, I think she is what she does in those two movies, and in that movie in particular, to make herself different from that first one. She is the best actor in that movie. And that is saying a lot because I think Arnold's great. And also Robert, what's his face? T2, the T2000.
Robert Patrick.
Also amazing. Robert Patrick, thank you. I was going to say William Patton, Robert Pattinson, but no, Robert Patrick. So like, that's the thing too, is like, and even like the side characters and the extras and the doctor, like everyone in that movie is really good, is a really good actor. And then there's just Edward Furlong. So I think the fact that he is surrounded by so many good things points out his mediocrity and makes it worse. But hey, I doubt he's going to have that issue in Crow 4.
You should look at the cast of that movie because he has actors around him again. Not to that level.
Oh, God.
He has professional actors in the movie, though.
God, we're fucked. Oh, my God.
All right. So, with that past us now, let's get to Superman and Lois, season 4, episode 10. It feels weird, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I'm thrown off a little bit because we usually, like we mentioned, we start off with the show, but we're gonna wrap it up with the show this time. Season 4, episode 10, which is the series finale, season finale, the Arrowverse, the CW first finale. Like, this is it. Like, there is no more. The DC era on network television is pretty much over now. Like, it is wild that this is where we're at right now. We've enjoyed the hell out of this season, this season 4, and I guess just quickly overall thoughts before we dive into the minutia. I think I already know what's going on. Did they stick the landing or not, Jason?
Oh, come on. What is that? You know the answer to that. I texted you after I watched this last night, and I said, this didn't just stick the landing for this series. It stuck the landing as a satisfying ending to the CW Arrowverse, to where this came from. And you know what I like? It was emotional. It was action packed in the beginning, emotional at the end. We have a slight nod to the CW, which I'm not gonna. That's for you to talk about, because but we, at the end, the character we get that slight nod, and I like that. Like, I didn't want to see Oliver Queen. I didn't want to see the Flash. I love these people, but I don't want to see them in this. It would have been out of place, and they did it perfectly. This was the end of Superman's story, and a little nod to the Arrowverse going out. Stuck the landing, in my opinion, and made me tear up. A beautiful episode. Loved it a great deal. I can't believe I'm mourning Superman. I never liked this character. Now I fucking love it. This is my Superman.
Yeah, we are two people, if you have not followed our show, that have not been the biggest Superman fans throughout our lives. And this show, and what warmed me up for it was because we covered all of the Christopher Reeve movies. We've covered the DCEU in its entirety. We've covered a lot of Superman on this show. And we currently cover My Adventures with Superman, the anime one on Max. This one, yeah, I agree with you 100%. This is my Superman. This is the definitive live action Superman. This is the GOAT. This is whatever you want to call it. This is the best.
Yeah.
Of that, and it's the best. And I'll bury the lead in a little bit with this one, because we're gonna rank the Arrowverse after this in our last segment. This is the best that these Arrow/CW verse has had to offer. In my opinion. This is number one. That's it. They've stuck the landing more than any show has. There are so many shows, like historical shows, that have failed to stick the landing, because it is really hard to give a satisfying ending to a series. It's really hard, and this show actually fucking did it. And not that we weren't having any doubts,
and I think
they did.
No, I think it's one of only maybe 3 of these CW shows that stuck the landing.
Yeah, because it was a problem.
Because this stuck. Yeah, I think this stuck the landing. Black Lightning stuck the landing. Stargirl stuck the landing. I didn't see the end of Arrow. And I'm not going to go through them all, but like some of them were canceled. There was no ending. But I think, like, it sticks. It does what a lot of shows, even on the CW, couldn't do.
Yeah. We got 2 quick comments here that I want to get to before we dive into this. From YouTube, we got Soboris. Thanks for checking us out. The finale was amazing. Yeah, it sure as hell was fucking amazing, dude. It was fantastic. We're going to get into the details of exactly why we everything, but man, it was awesome. It truly was awesome. And Tim, who was on with us earlier, I didn't watch the series. Shame on you, Tim, because you should be watching the series. You're the lawyer for Kal-El. You should be doing this. You need to go back and finish this damn thing. I was totally weeping at the last episode of Superman. So hey, there you go, a different perspective where someone who did not watch the series, this still struck a chord with them as well. So further kudos. From there. Oh, so you were in my. Oh, awesome, man, dude. That's all you should.
Oh, awesome.
Subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Check us out every week, man. If this is your jam, check out all the other shows that are on here too, man. Like, it's good stuff.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this episode picks up where the episode 9 leaves off, and there is the battle in Smallville between Superman and Doomsday is going down here, and it picks up in a kind of like a bar, a pool hall, where we catch up with John Henry Irons and Lana Lang. They're having their conversation. This is like the first time they've shared a scene in this season together, because we know there was like, budgetary constraints and stuff like that. But I'm glad that this episode you didn't feel any of that, because everyone was back. They saved it for the end, which was the smart move.
They did, and I appreciated they actually made a comment about them not having a lot of screen time together.
Yeah.
When she says, like, this is only our fourth date in like 6 months. You're so busy. And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. And she's like, maybe it's not meant to be. And I thought that was very clever of, okay, yeah, we're going to acknowledge that we haven't seen them together.
Yeah.
Because we haven't. But let's just acknowledge it and move on. And I thought that was a brilliant way to handle it.
It was very, very smart, of the show to do that. But then we hear from outside the fights breaking out, and it's Doomsday, and Lana sees them from a distance. And then we see that the boys go ahead and they join the fight as well, because Clark's having a hard time fighting Doomsday. And they jump in, by the way, and they have their own name now, by the way. The Fraternals. Which I thought was hilarious. Yep. By the way, they're like Fraternals. They look at each other and they like, take off. That was great.
Yep.
That was great.
And it's a great callback to, when he was training them, and it was like, I was stood on my own, you guys have each other, and now it's part of who they are. And Lois even comments on it, like, no, they have each other. They're stronger than you give them credit for together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Clark as a dad at that point is also doing the right thing, right? Like, he's telling them, like, he's trying to look out for them. He even tells Lois during this conversation, like, hey, I'm a dad. I'm supposed to protect them and stuff like that. And it's a meaningful thing that they have there. And they join the fight. And then we also get, John Henry Irons is injured during that initial scene. He wants to join the fight as well. He has this tech. It was a bomb that comes into play later on in the episode.
That is so... That, I did not see that. The way they used that bomb, I didn't see coming.
No, neither did I. I thought it was going to be a Doomsday, and that was that.
Me too. But the way they did it, the way they executed it was perfect. I didn't see it coming. John Irons getting hurt, I thought that looked really cool. He's like, I gotta go, and he goes out the front door. And because what you find out is we're kind of flashing back maybe 5 minutes before the end of the last episode, before Doomsday and Clark really start getting at it and destroying the town. And so he goes to leave as like something comes crashing in and destroys it, the building, and he gets blown back. And I thought that looked really good.
Yeah, no, it did. This show looks great. It's still so commendable for this show to look the way it does, like shot wise and like CGI wise and everything like that for a CW show.
Yeah,
especially like they have we've said this a bunch of times. It has a higher budget than the other CW shows had. Like, that's for sure. It does look more polished and everything.
It does. But I'm gonna say this: it did not have a higher budget than Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Welcome Wonder Woman, Hey, there's Aquaman, let's get a franchise together. But this Doomsday looks way better. Like, this absolutely. Is Doomsday.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not even going to quantify, like, comparing it to other CW shows. I'm comparing it to a fucking movie that was theatrically released and someone spent a lot of money on. And I'm going to say this show did Doomsday better than that movie.
No question. And it did Superman better than that movie did in that franchise.
Yes. And I think some people might argue that, so I'm not going to get into that. But, yes, they absolutely did.
So then during this fight, too, John Henry has his bomb. He also says he's going to go and fight with something that's stronger than a bomb. And then Clark goes ahead, lures Doomsday out here, right? Like, as the boys have kind of like pushed him off to the side for a second to distract him. We get this awesome shot of Superman in front of this like burning fire, slow motion type thing. It was super badass, and it was nuts. And he goes. Doomsday comes flying at him. He does this bullet time like fucking Neo, move out of the way of this fucking slow motion punch and just is watching the fist. So cool. And Doomsday gets hit in the fucking head with John Henry's hammer and completely gives him a concussion and knocks him the fuck out.
Oh, I love that. I got so excited. It's the first time we saw the hammer, right? In a while, anyway.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Right. And
I even forgot about it.
I forgot about it. I did too. And when he whips that out and it hits Doomsday, I'm like, the hammer.
So you have a hammer. The hammer pulled you off.
Yeah.
So Clark tells them, like, Superman. I keep calling him Clark instead of Superman because now they're just like one and the same in my mind too in this show. Because everyone knows who he is.
He is exactly. He outed himself. We can do that now.
Yeah, it's true. And he says, "Hey, listen. The only way I'm going to kill this guy, because the boys point out, he's just going to keep reincarnating and keep coming back." And Superman's like, "Listen, I know what to do. I'm going to throw him into the fucking sun. Take him up to the sun. I'm going to throw him up there, and that's it. That's how we're going to get rid of him." And they question it, like, what if he wakes up on the way to the sun? And he's just like, it's got to work. That's it. We got nothing else. Like, this is it, man.
He says, he's not like me. I get my power from the sun. It makes him weaker. So they kind of do give us back to the Bizarro world, right? Because that was the thing in the Bizarro world, that the sun made him weaker. So I thought that was super cool too.
Yeah, so he takes Doomsday, flies him to the sun, and goes to, like, throw him into the sun. And then right before that, he stops. Doomsday stops. And he has this moment with Clark where his entire life flashes before his eyes. And it's his time as Bizarro. And I thought that was a really, really cool moment. And it was also foreshadowing, in some ways, what we see other characters go through in this episode. Because there's a lot of flashing back for their time on the show. That happens a couple of times throughout this. And he has that moment.
Yeah, and I love that moment. I love that moment because Clark is about to punch him. Like, Clark is ready to, like, I'm fucking putting you in there, motherfucker. That's happening. And this gives him a look. Like, and then he has that flashback. And, we know Clark doesn't see that, right? Superman doesn't know that Doomsday's just had that. That's in Doomsday's head. But he knows. He understands what that means. And I really like that instead of punching him in there, he just gently puts his hand on him, gives him a push. And it's almost what Doomsday wants, right? He doesn't want to live like that. The whole reason he's angry and he's like this is because he couldn't get home, and he can't get home. And now even if he does, he's not the same person. And so all of that is going on, and just that little push into the sun. It's such a great moment.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, not to get lost on this, Superman gets completely healed of all his battle scars that he's been dealing with fighting Doomsday these last 2 episodes, and pretty much gets supercharged at this point. So we're getting, like, him back at the height of his powers again, for a brief time at least, to do this, because he's still got to handle Lex. And it's pretty cool. When I saw him healing and everything like that, and kind of getting supercharged, I'm like, oh shit,
that was awesome.
It's about to go down now.
Yeah,
like
this
is it. One
then,
more fucking time.
And then as he's getting supercharged, he hears Jordan, because Lex has shown up with the fucking Lexo suit, and he's got his hand around Jordan's neck, and Lex is unhinged. Like, he's about to kill this kid. And I saw that, and I'm like, oh, Superman's not gonna like this.
No, and leading up to that, though, we get Amanda's in the car, Lex is calling her. Basically, they're having a whole argument about, like, her loyalty and stuff like that, and they have it out. And she even says, I'm going to go ahead and quit LexCorp. And he's like, you don't have, that won't be necessary. Goodbye, Amanda. He was about to fucking kill her until the boys save her.
Yes, he was.
Like, you're right. What you just calling Lex unhinged in this episode is 100%. He is completely went off the deep end in this entire finale.
Gone.
And it's pretty sick to see, because he is so intimidating, this Lex Luthor. Like, he is just
Scary.
completely bonkers. Yeah. And their plan there, though, is that once they get Amanda back, Lois hatches this plan where you're going to go ahead and you're going to we're going to end Lex's whole thing. And you're going to confess to the world on camera what he is and what's been going on here, because they won't believe me because of the shit that you guys pulled in the last couple episodes. And they're about to execute that plan, and then Lex shuts it down with his tech and with Milton. And that brings us to the point where you just mentioned. This leads us back to where he's about to choke out fucking Jordan. And then Lois Lane jumps in there. Lois jumps in and is like, hey, you know,
I love
why don't you come after me? Like, you stop fighting my 16-year-old son with your fucking suit, with all this other shit. Stop hurting everyone around me. Come after me. I've never been scared of you. You've always been fucking petrified of me.
And that goes into showing just how good Lois is at reading people, because that's what pulls him away. Because she's like, you're going after my 16-year-old son. He's like, your 16-year-old son with superpowers. Like, nothing is phasing him. And then she's like, oh, you're not coming after me because you're afraid of me. I've never been afraid of you. You've always been afraid of me. And she knew that was what to say to get Lex to ignore her son and go after her. And again, like, this is called Superman Lois for a reason. Right? Superman isn't always the one saving the day with his brawn. Sometimes Lois does it because she's fucking smart and reads people well and really good at her job.
And she reads him to get him to the point where to get close enough where she puts that bomb that John Henry had on him, and it basically kicks him back because she doesn't really know like what they've done to this damn suit already. And it kicks him back, but it buys enough time where she knows that Superman's coming. And, you know, he says something about, like, time to die, Lois, and stuff. And, you know, buys him enough time where she's like, oh, I can't do anything, but he can. And then Superman comes flying right back in. They take their fight to the fucking sky. And it is a all-out fucking just complete drag-em-out battle between those two.
Yeah. And Superman does not pull any punches.
No.
Superman's like, you went after my family. I told you not to do that. And when in the end of that battle, when he fucking punches him so hard, he shatters the Lexo suit. I was like,
he punches him out
did
of
he
the
just
suit?
kill Lex Luthor?
Yeah, I did
like,
wonder for a second.
He's not fucking around.
No.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, wait a minute, is he making, is that where this is going? Is he taking that step? And he saves him, he brings him down, but like, he wrecks him. He literally punches him so hard, he fucking crumbles a Lexo suit.
Yeah, and he, during this fight though, like all those upgrades that were made, he's drilling fucking things into Superman and everything like that, pure kryptonite that he's got to fucking rip out of him constantly. And he's just, again, the supercharged Superman, back to full strength, can handle all of this shit. And he really does. You're right. He catches Lex on the way down. And then basically he's kind of done here. And at the same time, too, Jordan looks for Jonathan and saves it and finds him because he's knocked out.
Yeah.
And he brings him back with super CPR. Where he pretty much just kind of like does the CPR and like explodes him for a second. Yeah,
and Jonathan wakes up and is like, "Did you just blow me up?"
Yeah, this is crazy. And they have a nice moment there. Where he was scared. He lost him.
Did you have a moment where you thought maybe they were actually going to kill one of these twins, or did you know now he's coming back?
No, there's no way they would kill. Not the twins. I don't think There were others who There was one who I remember we talked last week. We wondered if Superman was going to make it out of this alive and stuff like that. And
yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. And it happened in a way that is not exactly how I envisioned it. But yeah, no. I can go with it. So then it kind of flash forwards to a year later. And we're at the John Henry and Lana wedding. And it's really sweet the way it's done. Like, Clark is walking Lana down the aisle. That's a nice moment. Lois is the officiant of the wedding. That's pretty cool. And they have these shared moments and stuff like that. And that's where there's also more flashbacks for basically each character kind of gets their series arc flashback briefly. And it's kind of nicely done. It's not like it doesn't slow the story down or like that. Like it's really well handled. And Kyle and Lana have a moment in the reception, right?
Yeah.
Kyle Cushing and like that. They have one more last dance, and they kind of like, and he even says, "I just always wanted to see you happy, regardless of how that looks." They have one more last dance, and that's a nice like farewell, to them as well, which I thought was pretty cool. Her daughter's back in town. Lana's daughter Sarah's back in town.
Mm-hmm.
They have a moment where she decides basically, she's talking to Jordan, and she even says, "I kind of realized, my future is in Smallville, but how are you doing with yours and being a hero?" And he says, "Yeah, I kind of think I am where I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm doing my thing. I'm good to go." And then after that, there's a moment with they talk. The discussion of the legacy begins now, where Clark and Lois are having this conversation about legacy, and he even says, like, "Our next chapter. I wonder what this is going to be like." And he hits us. They hit us with the new tagline for Superman. It's always been truth, justice, and the American way, and it got changed to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Just basically saying, it's not just American superhero. This dude's for the world. This dude's for like the universe and stuff like that. Like, we get it.
Yeah, which I like. I like.
It's cool. He's
American, cool, but he always like the character is. He's not Captain America. He's it's not just like I'm pushing jingoism. It's like, no, I want what's right. We all need to be together. And so I really like that. I like the change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was cool that they worked that in there too, because Lois says, we should be for truth and for justice. And Clark says, in a better tomorrow. And they have that. And then he starts telling the story of how, because he's kind of doing the voiceover now, where he goes ahead and starts realizing, like, I can't do this alone. And we see the boys getting their Superboy suits and stuff like that from the fortress. Mm-hmm. And we get that fucking money shot of the Super family. And Jason, this is kind of what we wanted, right? We've been talking about this for a while. Both of the boys are two different versions of Superman, a Superboy, right? We get them flying together with Clark, and we get Steel with the cape and the hammer and everything.
We do.
How sick was that? And his daughter was there too, with her suit as well.
It was fantastic, and specifically what I loved about it was it is in line with the whole theme of this show, right? Like, you can't do it alone. Mm-hmm. Superman did because he had to, right? Even from the very beginning, if you go back and watch that first season, it's about, him having to deal with his son who has superpowers and not really understanding how to help him because he didn't really get the help he needed. His parents did his best, but like there was no other Kryptonians around. So the fact that this ends with him like, I am the lone protector, and at the end it's like, we're family, we're doing this together. I just think it's beautiful, and it pays off on a lot of the themes that were introduced in the very first season.
Yeah, this show never forgot what its mission statement was, and it just elevated
never did
to another level at the end of this. And then we catch up with Lex. We find out that his appeal is denied, and he is fucked. He is staying in prison. He's going nowhere this time. Yep. And then he's walking with the warden, and they go ahead and he thinks he's going to get all those fancy accommodations he had last time. And then it's like, no, buddy, it's not how it works this time. Because there's somebody else who's kind of running the show right now. He gets put into his cell, and we find out is Bruno Mannheim.
Yep.
That is the one who's kind of, he's like, something? Yep. Somebody always needed a chair. You're going to be a great chair this time. And reversing the roles, and Lex's face is just the, oh shit. I'm screwed face, which is great.
And that's a nod to like one of Lex's first episodes or his origin episode in prison, where he turns someone into a fucking chair and sits on them.
Exactly.
So Mannheim's like, I'm the boss now.
And then Clark tells the story. He takes over as like, that this heart, it gave me 32 more years after this. Where at that point I'm like, oh shit. Once he says that, he gives a number of how long he lived. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I'm like, they're going there now. And
well, I mean, when he said I died twice, the first time I died. Yeah. Well, once he said that, I was like, oh, the first time. Okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah. And he, when he creates the super family and stuff like that, he also works with Mannheim on doing other stuff because he wants to not just they show these newspaper clippings of the Daily Planet and everything. Like they did all this work and everything like that. They do everything there. And, it's just like, we couldn't do everything, but we did what we could because we found a world that needed our help. And
yeah,
they go ahead and they end up opening up the Sam Lane Medical Center and stuff like that. And they're doing a lot of good group stuff around the world. We see the boys grew up and we see adult versions of them, that they're there.
Yeah, but their wives and their kids.
Yeah, and then we get Super Grandpa. Essentially, we talked about Super Dad.
Yes, we
the whole series. We get Super Grandpa now.
Super Grandpa. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Clark's got that gray hair going and stuff.
It's so good. It's so good. I love that they built in something like a mechanic to let him age, right? Like because they had to do that. That's one of the reasons they knew where they were going. They gave him the heart because they knew they wanted to end the series this way. But to watch him age, I think is very charming and very, very cool. Like because you're not used to that. But like he's got the salt and pepper hair and he's Grandpa Clark and yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was really a nice moment. And also though, and I did some reading on this. So Lois gets the bangs and looks like Margot Kidder, which was an intentional Easter egg that she wanted to do this on the way out.
Oh.
Which I thought was really cool.
I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was a pretty cool thing when she's like Grandma Lois Lane and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then we get the information from Clark that unfortunately the breast cancer returned eventually. After they had all these nice moments and stuff and unlimited sunsets together and they spent every living moment and stuff and they were empty nesting and everything. And then we get the death of Lois Lane. And she passes in her bed and she tells Clark, I love you. He says it back. But then as she passes away, even Clark mentions there was one thing that happened I'll never forget, is that she says dad. That she saw her father as she was passing.
Yeah.
And and that leads us to what ends up happening eventually. But before that though, we get this thing where Clark's been living in the house and stuff by himself and his friends are coming in to check on him and stuff like that. But things weren't alone. He gets a dog. And we get Crypto.
Yes, he does. And
is a golden retriever in this.
I was going to say, what is that dog's name? It's Crypto.
Yeah. He gets fucking Crypto, which was awesome. I thought that was such a cool way to work him into it. And it was great. It was so nice the way they were he's telling the story and they were on the porch together, hanging out. They took naps together and everything like that. It was really, really sweet the way, the way that they did that and put that together. And that was pretty heartwarming. And then there's a shot of him walking with Kyle and Crypto, and his heart gives out. And he said it was around the time when Sam probably would have went as well. And he doesn't die there because Kyle gets him back to his house, and then he's there with the boys, and he ends up passing on. But then we see his soul leaves his body and he starts seeing a bunch of stuff. Sees the grandkids, he sees his friends, he sees everything, all the stuff. and it's really nice. And two big standouts from this too, where he also sees Crypto as well there. Like everything he's ever loved, he
Yes.
sees him. He's his younger self. And though in his living room, he sees a crying Lex Luthor who's there. And he basically forgives him. I did read also from the writers of this. What was your interpretation of that before I even say that, what they said? Did you think Lex is also dead?
Him forgiving.
Yeah.
I think there are two interpretations you can apply. I think you can apply the fact that Lex is dead. But I think the reality is that in death he's letting go.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things he needs to do is forgive Lex for going after his family, because as we said, he goes a bit hard on Lex. He literally punches the man out of a suit.
Yes.
And I think he harbors that resentment and that anger to Lex until the end. And I think part of him passing to where he goes, which is heaven, and it's not Christian heaven, it's not religious heaven, it's heaven in the sense that it's the afterlife and he gets to be happy, gets what he wants. And I think part of what he needs, and I think part of what he needs in order to reunite with his family is to let his anger go with Lex. So I think it's symbolic of letting that anger go in death that you could not forgive in life. Because even if Lex died, why is Lex in Clark's heaven? It didn't and you're about to tell me that's what it means, I'm sure, but it didn't. It made more sense to me that it was symbolic.
So he basically said the writers basically said that it was meant in a literal thing where Lex was crying because Lex had also passed on at that point as well, and was looking back. It was crying because of his choices in life, of hurting everybody and doing all this other stuff. It was regret, and Clark was forgiving him of that. He also they did it. He does acknowledge that the interpretation could go either way. He was just saying he wrote it as, and it's fine. He understands both of it, and none of it's the wrong answer. It's all fine.
No, and look, as a writer myself, and as someone who's spent a lot of my life studying literature, I can tell you that once something is written and put out into the public, the author's intent is irrelevant. It's all about the different interpretations. So I'm very happy that you had said that he acknowledged there are many interpretations. But I think it is cool to understand what he had in his head when he was writing it. Because again, I think that's valid. I think that's cool. Because that gives it something where he's like, okay, so Clark is giving Lex what he needs to move on.
Exactly.
Which is a very Superman thing to do. And so I think it works either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fine. And then, sees the boys, sees Lana, sees John Henry. And then the boys, though, they're younger versions of them, open a door. And Lois is there in the red dress that he's always talked about, loved seeing her in and stuff like that. Which I thought was a really awesome callback there. Talks about how beautiful she is. And even says, hey, everything, love is what you truly needed. And, it's given him everything and stuff like that, and everything that good in his life and stuff like that. And that's basically what it's all about. And an interesting thing, too, is when Clark, during this whole thing, is wearing the exact shirt he did when he made his debut on Supergirl.
Is he?
Yes, he is. That was actually also mentioned.
Oh, wow.
As well. So I thought that was a really awesome callback and further hammering home how they fucking understand the details of this show are spectacular. To the very last moment.
I did not pick up on that at all, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Me neither.
That's really awesome. You're right.
It,
The attention to detail and the understanding of where this came from, where it was going. Man, the writing was so sharp and so good. And I'm gonna miss this show. I'm in mourning. I'm not even making a joke. It's not a bit. I'm in mourning. This is, I'm gonna miss this show. This was something special.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's Ed, and and we talked about this too. Is that I'll admit, like, yeah, got a little choked up at the end with the second half of this last episode at a couple of points. Even the crypto part, when he had crypto and they're doing their whole thing and stuff like that, it hit home. It did. It hit every single note, man. Like, just absolutely spectacular with the way this is handled, man. I am gonna miss the hell out of the show. I seriously am. Yeah, and I do think that season. I thought all 4 seasons were strong. I think the 4th season was its strongest. To be honest with you, I do think this was the best season of this 4-episode run. And they were all awesome seasons.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think that's saying a lot because this last season had budget cuts. We didn't get the whole cast in every episode. It had some things working against it, but it brought it, man. I mean, it brought us a terrifying Lex Luthor. I don't think I've ever been afraid of Lex Luthor like I am of this guy.
No,
like
this was serious
and
shit.
such a nuanced depiction of him, because I don't know about you, but when we started this, I was like, oh, well, Lex is kind of wrong. They put him away for the wrong thing, and he misses his daughter. But like, as every episode goes by, he loses more and more of that humanity we thought he had, until we get him here at the end where he's trying to kill a fucking 16-year-old kid and his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. He is completely, like you said, unhinged at the end.
Unhinged. And I don't think I've ever been as scared of a Lex Luthor. We make the joke about land deals. We got land deals going on. But this is a hands-on Lex Luthor. This is a very meticulous Lex Luthor. So the fact that we had him, the fact that we had Doomsday, the fact that we had all of these emotional moments, these emotional beats of losing Papa Lane and the death and return of Superman, they do so much in the 10 episodes that this should be the worst season if you look at it how it plays on paper. Because of budget cuts, it knows it's going to the end. It only has a half a season, but these writers they somehow pull out powerful stuff. And yeah, I agree, it's probably the best season, and that's saying a lot because I thought that 3rd season was fucking amazing. And that 2nd season was fantastic. And that 1st season was also one episode. There's one episode in this entire series I wasn't crazy about. That's huge. I look for reasons to be mad. I hate everything. Not this show, though. The show, this was the best season, and that is saying a lot.
Yeah, dude, this is a show that, I mean, again, when it was first announced, I was like, okay, we're getting a show on. And I like Tyler Hoch and everything like that, but before this show, this was the CW Superman was kind of the jobber Superman, right? Like, he was just there to kind of put over Supergirl on multiple occasions. And it was something that you're like, all right, so this guy's getting his own show? All right, let's see what happens here. And then they made the genius decision of saying, no, we're going to use the same actor. We're going to use the same actress, but this is not that Superman. We're not continuing that. This is a different universe as Superman. And that was smart because then it explains how this guy is completely different from the one that we got. So Tyler Hoch really is playing a different version of Superman. This guy is not a jobber. This guy is not there to put anyone over. He is fucking Superman.
The real deal.
Yeah, he's the real deal on every fucking level, man. And it was awesome. This show gave us John Henry Irons. This fucking show gave us Steel. This show gave us Bizarro in not a goofy, stupid way, right? This show gave us a badass Lex Luthor. Yeah. This show gave us so much awesome shit. Bruno Mannheim. He gave us, everything you want. We even got Jimmy Olsen. Yep.
And then again, like the what we always say about this show is the beauty of this show is that it understands that Superman is vulnerable when it comes to physical stuff, but what does he do when his wife gets cancer? What does he do when his kid is getting into drugs or whatever. So this show also gave us a side of this character I have never seen before. And as like a dad and a family man and stuff like that, like I've never connected with Superman like I did in this one. And that's why this is my Superman. Like I love Christopher Reeve. I love those movies. You know, I mean, to varying degrees, we've talked about it on the show, but I've never emotionally connected with a Superman until this one.
Yeah, and there were other Supermans that I kind of started to warm up to at times, but like this guy is. See, this show humanized Superman and made him relatable, unlike anything before it. And like, I'm not going to go on this whole tirade of because I do like the Henry Cavill Superman and stuff, and there are things I like about the Snyder one, but the Snyder one was basically like, hey, we're going to humanize him by making him like kind of darkish and brooding at times. And this show doesn't do that, but yet found a way to humanize him. And without being dark and brooding at all. This guy is full of hope from the fucking get-go to the end. And it's great.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think like I'm not as big a fan of the Snyderverse as you are. I did like parts of his interpretation of Superman, but I agree with you in the sense that he tries to humanize or they whatever. I'm not blaming the one fucking director, but the plan was to humanize Superman by making him dark and gritty and angry like Batman, because Batman was selling. But this show posits you can make Superman human without taking away the Superman aspect of him. He's still hopeful. Exactly. He's still a great guy. He's a great dad. He's a lovely person, but there's reality to that lovely person now, and it's not just I'm brooding, you know. Because look, when Batman does it, it's great. Batman has a shitty life. Clark didn't. Yeah,
it really is something, man. Listen, James Gunn has his movie coming out next summer. That we'll talk about, and
Jay's
friend he's got his shoes cut out for him. He's got his shoes cut out for him now, man.
He does.
I'll tell you that much. He does. All right. So as we say farewell to Superman and Lois, let's wrap up the Arrowverse, man. We're gonna rank the Arrowverse now. Jason, I unfortunately did not get a chance to do the banner, so we will read them off. I'm going to start this time. Yeah, I'm going to start this time with my rankings.
I got to find it on my phone.
Yeah, I got yours, though, if you need it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, we'll go through this. These are our definitive final rankings of the Arrowverse. I have seen every minute of the Arrowverse since day one, and it has been a lot. It is a lot of TV to watch and everything. But here it is. I think at the top spot, like I already mentioned, number one, the GOAT, the King, the Superman and Lois. This show was awesome from start to finish. No blemishes, nothing whatsoever. It got stronger as it went on. And all the things I had just mentioned, it is fantastic. Even though technically isn't in continuity with the Arrowverse, like we did mention that because that was a thing. But I think it was for the better. But yes, it was a part of this. So that's number one. Number two, I have Black Lightning. That show also only 4 seasons, but 4 really good seasons. The consistency was also there in that show. There was no lagging. There was no nothing. And that show also had to deal with crossing over with the Arrowverse as well. So there was that. And it handled it really well, man. And they knew, they ended it when it needed to be. That show also wanted to continue, but accepted the fact and wrapped it up in a good way. Because also, to quickly mention, the creators and the writers of Superman and Lois had intentions in future seasons to introduce Brainiac and Darkseid. Eventually.
Oh man,
they were really.
I want to go to the multiverse where this got to do that. Yeah, I want to go to the multiverse where this ran for fucking 8 years, and I want to see it all.
Oh man, that would have been sick, man. Because you handled these 4 the way you did, the big characters you did. I would have loved to see their interpretations of both of them. So that would have been great.
Same.
At number 3, I got Stargirl, which did not start. Its first season was, on the DC Universe app, but eventually became a CW show. And they ran for 3 seasons. And 3 solid seasons also. So the ones at the top get higher ratings for me because of the consistency of it. Maybe less seasons, but quality over quantity, for sure. Number 4 is the OG for me, is Arrow. That show, at its highest points in its first 3 to 4 seasons, was fucking awesome. And then again, without this show, none of this happens. Just 100%, none of this happens. Yes, Smallville existed before Arrow, and briefly, honorable mention to Birds of Prey, because they were also a CW DC show as well. Only lasted 1 season. Awesome concept and everything like that. I have a lot of love for that show. But Arrow was the OG, and Stephen Amell, what he did with his character and everything like that, was great. Now it only comes in at number 4 for me because the later seasons it got dicey. It was pretty rough. It did overstay its welcome a little bit, and its finale was a pilot. The second to last episode was a pilot for another show that never got picked up. Like, that tells me you had no idea what you were doing with the end of this thing. Yeah. So that's why I got to ding you for that. And that's why they come in at number 4. Number 5 is DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Like, that show, rocky first start, but that show, once it found its footing and knew that it was this quirky, wacky superhero show of this misfit group of kind of leftover characters from the rest of the CW verse, man, was that show a fucking lot of fun. And Jason, I remember before you started watching, I told you, I was like, this dude is going to love this show. I guarantee. Yes. And apparently I was right on that one. And it was a blast. It was self-aware. It was a lot of fun. It knew what it was. Didn't take itself super seriously. And it was great. Number 5 is The Flash. Now, again, at its highest points, just like Arrow, at its highest points was it fucking great. If it would have ended at a certain point, Flash and Arrow would be right there with Superman and Lois for me, to be honest with you. They would have been toe-to-toe. Mm-hmm. But just overstayed your welcome way too long. Too many, it was constant speedster after speedster after speedster. The whole Team Flash thing just did not work for me after a while. It got kind of annoying, and Iris got annoying after a while too, and it was just, there was a lot of dings. But, Grant Gustin's Barry Allen was spectacular. He was never the problem with that show. He was always the standout. Just like Stephen Amell with Arrow. His Oliver Queen was never the problem. Mm-hmm. The writing just got betrayed. And after that, I got Supergirl, which was pretty fucking legit until its last season. And its last season was unwatchable garbage. Seriously, unwatchable garbage. It was fucking rough, man. A lot of cool shit in that show, though. We got Dean Cain to come back. As that, we got Helen Slater was Supergirl's mom in that, stuff like that, who played Supergirl in the movie back in the day. So that was pretty cool. A lot of great Easter eggs. We got John Cryer as Lex Luthor, who did a phenomenal job as Lex Luthor on his own. So that was great. The supporting cast I like a lot too. And Melissa Benoist, spectacular Supergirl up until the end, but like the other two, the show just went off the rails eventually in just nonsense. Then the last 3 are interesting. Then I got Batwoman, who comes in after that, which is funny because we covered that entire show. We covered that show on this, and the first season was just crap. Then the second season,
we never covered the first season.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you went back and watched the first season.
Yeah.
I watched
I went back and watched
covered seasons
2 episodes of the first season.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
And that show had to deal with its fucking lead actor leaving after the first season and had to kind of adjust on the fly. And we admitted, as much as we were mocking that show and rolling our eyes every week and shitting on it, that somewhere in the second season, the kind of show understood what it was. And then the third season was pretty cool. I mean, we admit the third season was cool, but then it was shut down. So too little, too late, unfortunately. You know, maybe there's another universe where that show got to do 4 good seasons or something. I don't know. But that's there for me. Second to last, number 9 is Naomi, which got 1 season and tried to do things. It just didn't work. We covered that whole show on here. It just didn't work at all. Like it just, the show just never quite found its footing, and it was an odd show, but pretty mundane, honestly, kind of boring, but just whatever. Number 10 is Gotham Knights, which is just sucked. It's just so terrible. Another Batman-less Batman show. Total at the end. And yes, honorable mentions to Birds of Prey, which was another DC show. Kudos to that show for being cool. I also thought that show was a little ahead of its time. It never quite got to do its thing. And I didn't watch it, but Smallville, a lot of people love Smallville. Kudos to that show too. And it is kind of cool that the CW DC shows were bookended by Superman. Beginning with Smallville, ending with Superman and Lois. Cool stuff. So those are my rankings for the Arrowverse.
All right. So our rankings are very similar. I got Superman and Lois on top as well. Again, there's only 1 episode I didn't like. That's huge. This show made me like Superman. Made me love Superman. Made me fucking grieve Superman and Lois Lane at the end of the season. Like, that's huge. That's huge. My guy almost got in a fucking fist fight with a friend of mine in my 20s because I said Batman was better and he said Superman was better. And I was like, nah, fuck you. Let's have this out. But no, I have to put Superman and Lois first. The writing was brilliant. The characterization, Tyler Hoechlin, man, brilliant. Like, if I ever meet him, I'm just gonna say thank you. That's it. Thank you. Because you gave me access to a character that I never had access to before, in his performance, in the writing, in everything they did with him. So that's clearly number 1. Number 2, and this would have been number 1 if Superman and Lois wasn't so fucking good, it's Black Lightning. I love my Black Lightning. You remember when we first started watching this, I watched that first episode that I was supposed to watch for the show, which I believe is the last season, and went, oh, I got to rewatch this. I got to start over. I need the whole fucking thing. And I think that is how we started catching up with Mr. J. I was going back and watching Black Lightning episodes, and I felt that what a wonderfully written show. I love the whole. I mean, he was a teacher, which of course hits me. The urban landscape, some of the characters, his family, some of the bad guys, and the fact that the only bad guy that was really evil with a capital E was Tobias Whale. Everyone else had shades of gray.
Yeah.
And I love that. Stargirl, it's a great show. Stargirl 3 as well for me. I think that's a show that when I saw the commercial for it, I went, oh God, I don't want to watch this. Then I had to watch it for the show, and I went, oh God, thank you. I wouldn't have watched this otherwise, but brilliant. It had a really good look to it. It was exploring like Silver Age or Golden Age, characters. Like, we had versions of the Justice League, like the Flash, the versions we're used to. It was a separate thing unto itself. The cast was great. I love that girl who plays Stargirl. I thought she was fantastic. Of course, we had what's his face, famous brother with the nose. Wow, his brother. Thank you, Luke Wilson. He was fantastic. I loved the villains that they had there, and Joel McHale shows up, and you can't go wrong with Joel McHale. And all 3 of those top that I just mentioned stick the landing. was not disappointed with any of the endings of those three. All right, now where things start to change. I got Legends 4. I'm not saying Legends is the fourth best. I'm saying Legends is my fourth favorite because that show was balls to the wall crazy. That's another show. I gave up on that show when I first watched it. I watched the first 2 seasons and went, that's all right, but how many more seasons are we fucking following Caveman around time? You know, like what's his face? Vandal Savage, right? The first 2 seasons of them fucking following Vandal Savage around time. I'm like, okay. But you said to me, go back, it changes. If you're liking what we're seeing now, go back, it changes. And I went back and I was like, oh, that's the best. Like the Bollywood episode, the fucking Old West episode. The fact that they were not shy with, you know what? This character wants written out, great. Constantine's in. This character wants written out, great. We got more characters. This is the fucking B-roll. We got plenty of B-roll here. And I loved it, and it worked. And it was compelling, and it was funny. And honestly, that show that's one of the shows that could still be going on today, and I'd still be watching it. Like, what was the last season? The 1920s? Or was it the one after the 1920s?
I think it was the 20s. I thought it was the 20s, man.
Yeah, so that's a show where even in that fucking crazy last season, with they're in the 1920s, I'm like, nah, they have stuff to do. They're time traveling. We can go on another six seasons. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Flash is next for me. Yeah, I love that show. Flash for me, because I loved the Flash when it first came out. Mm-hmm. It got painful to watch, but the things that kept it worthwhile for me were Grant Gustin. I think he just hey, hire Grant Gustin for the fucking screen. He can do it. He's really good at playing the Flash. I really enjoyed Wells, and there's a lot of Wells up until the last season. And I think it's the character of Wells that pushes Flash a bit over Arrow for me.
Okay.
Because I think he was always a compelling character, and they always did interesting things. Like, okay, so he's the villain. He's Reverse Flash in the first season. Now we don't want the actor to leave. So flash forward 5 years later, the fucking cabinet of Wells, you know, the council of Wells, and we're going to go multiverse, and we're going to give you, you know, French detective Wells. We're going to, and that was fun. I enjoyed that. I think the perfect season to end on for Flash was season 5. The Cicada season.
The Thinker.
You got
Cicada. Okay, yeah, not the Thinker. Yeah.
The Cicada. Thinker was one of the best seasons of these shows ever. I thought The Thinker was amazing that season because it really subverted what the show itself had set up. Cicada, that season, I thought it kind of starts to fall off, but there was enough there to enjoy, and that's when you meet what's his daughter's name? Exhibit, Ecstasy, X something, right?
Excess.
Thank you. You meet her, and she's charming, and that's a very cool role. So had it ended there, it might have been a bit higher for me, but it didn't. And then I got to watch something I love be beaten to death slowly over the next 3 years. Yeah. Arrow gets put under Flash. I agree with you. Those first 3 seasons of Arrow are fucking top notch. Like, there's no contesting that those first. If it was just the first 3 seasons of Arrow, it'd probably be second.
That season 2 of Arrow with Deathstroke was that I will put up with almost against any season of any show in this whole thing.
Chef's kiss. And the idea of going back and forth between the island, and it was very lost, but like, I'm going to the island in the past, and here's where I am now. But that show, I followed that show too long, and then I gave up on it. And I was so disinterested in it after that I didn't even go back to catch up for this show. Not that we were covering it.
Yeah, because it ended before we started.
I was just kind of it ended. But I was just kind of looking for an excuse to pick up Flash again. I was just kind of looking for an excuse to pick up Supergirl again. I had my excuse to pick up Arrow again. I didn't want to do it. And so that's why I ding it a lot, because it starts off real high, but it gets so bad that even I'm like, no. And I was there with the Flash, but later. I hated the Flash by the last season. I was starting to hate Arrow by the season I kind of tapped out, which was like the Damien Dark season where they were bringing magic and shit into it, which just did not work for me.
Yeah. Even though I like
so that's
Damien
why I
Dark
kind of dig it a bit low.
Yeah.
Damien Dark on Legends is fucking boss. He's great. That's where he belongs.
Yeah.
I just didn't think he belonged on Arrow.
Agreed. 100%.
Supergirl, yeah. Supergirl's next. It was a great show. I think the first season is a bit rough. Not rough. It's just not always as exciting as it could be. I think they're really trying to find their footing. They're really trying to take advantage of having Callista Flockhart on the payroll. And once they no longer do, it kind of frees them up to do other things, which I thought worked. They do some real cool stuff in there. We get like a Brainiac clone. I think Melissa Benoist, I think, was phenomenal. I think she is just such a talent. Like, she is Supergirl. She brings such a wholesomeness to that character. But I couldn't put it higher just because even with Arrow with all its problems, after a while, it took Arrow longer to get to the problematic point than it did Supergirl. And that last season of Supergirl, as you said, is unwatchable. I would never, like, if I went back and watched Supergirl, I would absolutely stop before that happens. But we can't ignore that it gave us Martian Manhunter, which was really excellent. It gave us a lot of stuff, and it did some really cool things. But by the end, we got David Bowie walking around. You know, her sister. Remember, that was our joke. She looked like fucking David Bowie.
Oh my god! Dude, I actually forgot about that for a minute. I almost want to like go back and watch our reviews, and I was like, oh my god, how aggravated we were with that.
I think we make so many David Bowie jokes. So I had to put Supergirl a bit lower, but I'll be honest with you, from Supergirl above, all of those shows were good. Some of them overstayed their welcome. Some of them were cut down too short. Some of them could have went on forever, like Legends of Tomorrow, and I'd still be defending it. But I don't think any of the ones I've mentioned were bad. Now on to the bad ones. Batwoman. Granted, I warmed up to Batwoman. I hated the second season. I hated most of the second season, though I did like the actress that got to replace Kate Kane. Remember Kate Kane? Did you hear the name Kate Kane? Because we heard it a million times in every fucking episode.
Kate Kane.
Kate Kane. But I'll be honest, when we get to that third season and we got halfway through the second season when we get Black Skull, right?
Yes.
Or Black Mask, right? Whatever his name is.
Black Mask.
So that is what Black Mask, thank you. That's when it starts turning me good. And as you said, that's when they realize what they are. And that third season, I really enjoyed that third season. Look, we've lost all the artifacts to the Batcave. It really like that show, Friday the 13th, right? We've lost all the cursed artifacts and have to get them back. And every episode is going to be us solving the specific problem to get this one artifact back. I enjoyed that. If that was the whole show, it would have been much higher in my ranking. I think the characters start to pop in that third season. We get that gorgeous Asian woman who plays her sister, who I actually loved throughout the entire season. Really,
she was Poison Ivy and stuff like that.
Poison Ivy, yeah, that worked for me. But I also can't ignore how that first season, to the point where this is the one show we were covering that I was like, I don't need to catch up. This is garbage. Kate Kane, I get it. Kate Kane's wonderful. She's God. the Kane, and the Rex Calabrese. I get it.
But don't forget, we got Kate Kane back as a different actress because she got surgery or whatever, and they kind of just like it was so ham-fisted the way they got rid of her.
It was so bad, and I remember actually reviewing that, being so angry, like, you've got a fucking Batwoman that I like. I like this actress. I like what you're doing. She's from the streets. She's living in a fucking van down by the river. She's doing this to survive. I loved all of that. But they're like, wait, stop the second season. Kate Kane is back. And it's like, I don't care. I don't like Kate Kane. I never did. So I think that's why I felt with that.
And it's funny that they addressed that mystery. But don't forget, and this is a massive ding on that show, the mystery that went throughout the entire first season and everything, where's Bruce Wayne, never got resolved.
Oh. Never. Where's Bruce
resolved.
Wayne? Who cares? That was the answer.
Well, because I also think that Kate Kane was the link, because that was her cousin, remember? And I felt like the show was just like, hey, this is dumb, but we have to move on because we see something that's working now that has nothing to do with this. So let's just pretend, let's just ignore it and hope for the best.
Yep. And again, that's a failing of the first season and not the second, because they made the right choice. The biggest misstep they made in that second season was bring Kate Kane back to the screen. They should just let that fucking name and person die and move on. But I get it. Like, you have people who like the character, and that is the Batwoman in the show, in the comics. I get it. But as a show, I couldn't. All right, then we got Naomi, which I had forgotten until you texted me your list, because I put my list together before you texted me, and Naomi wasn't on it because I forgot about that. What else can I say about that show? It is forgettable. I could not tell you one thing about it. The girl's name was Naomi. Her parents were liars, and she worshipped Superman, but she wasn't. She was in a weird multiverse, and none of that was ever explained. I don't understand why they made that. There were lots of other DC properties they could have kind of touched on, even like unknown ones, but they didn't. They made Naomi, and I don't know who was that for. Not for me. Clearly not for most of America, because it lasted nine episodes. Or whatever it lasted. And then Gotham Knights. Because how do you not put that piece of shit in the bottom? That's fucking 8 episodes of my life I'll never get back. There was nothing redeeming about that. You posted something before, Ed. The 5 mysteries still left unanswered in the DCU, or not DCU, in the CW.
Arrowverse.
And Arrowverse. And I read through them and I went, I need to add a 6th. Who the fuck was Gotham Knights for? Because it wasn't for Batman fans. And it wasn't for fucking fans of the Gotham Knights, because these aren't them. Like, was it like alternate Robin something Kelly, whatever her name is, I forget her name, Katie Kelly or whatever?
Carrie Kelly, that was it. She was the only recognizable character in that.
Carrie. That was it. So that's the thing. Was it for Carrie Kelly fans that this was made? Because this was, it was terrible. There was nothing redeeming about it. I remember I felt like when Naomi went off, I went, When Gotham Knights went off, I think I did a fucking jig.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we celebrated the end of that. That was,
whew,
that was unwatchable. Fucking garbage.
It was. And look, it's different watching the last season of Supergirl, which is unwatchable, but having 4 seasons before of good stuff where I'm like, all right, I can power through this. Gotham Knights is just like, hey, I got good news, everyone. We're going to start the 5th season of Supergirl. It's unwatchable, but you'll have to fucking watch it. Like, who was that for? What were they trying to do? It was more Batman was Batman shows, as you said. And it's like, I didn't really like that Batwoman did it, but at least they acknowledged him. I mean,
because Gotham Knights murders him in the first 5 minutes.
That's right. That's even fucking worse. Yeah, that's right. It's even worse. So
And you
yeah,
played the
Gotham
video
Knights,
game
bottom
to
of the
compare
barrel.
it.
Oh, that's right. I did. And that video game, as bad as it was, much better than the show. That's my rankings.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of them. And I was going to read off the things that Superhero Hype saved, the 6 unsolved mysteries. And number 1 is everything from Green Arrow and the Canaries pilot. That's something you didn't see. That was the Penuma. Well, second to last episode was called Green Arrow and the Canaries, and it was Oliver Queen's daughter takes over as the Green Arrow, and then we have the 2 Canaries team up, and that was supposed to be a show. I would have much rather have watched that than Naomi or Gotham Knights ever existing. So how the hell those shows got greenlit and Green Arrow and the Canaries didn't is beyond me. I will say that. Not that I was jonesing for that show either, but Jesus, you greenlit one of those 2 pieces of shit and you didn't greenlight that. Little ridiculous there.
Absolutely agreed. I mean, the fact that this was a show, sorry, but I did want to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
This was a show that it's like, okay, this is a spinoff with characters you've met from a show that, yes, overstayed its welcome, but started off really good. And they went, no, I don't want that. Oh, how about Gotham Knights? It has nothing to do with anything. Yes. Is Batman in it? No. Excellent. Is there a Robin in it? Kinda. Yeah. You could have made it better by making no one in it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm with you. I don't get, or Naomi. Like, I want to do a superhero show without superheroes. Okay.
Yeah. Then I admit, from the first season of Supergirl, I completely forgot we got Max Lord in the first season, along with the Omega Hedron.
I forgot.
Which was actually the thing from the Supergirl movie. So that was kind of interesting.
That's right.
It was.
That's right.
They never get addressed. Number 3 is John Constantine's favorite, Lucifer. That happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Because remember, Lucifer is a DC property, but that was on Fox. So I thought that's a thing we're never going to find out about. The fate of Bruce Wayne from Batwoman. Whatever. They didn't, which is ridiculous. And then the cliffhanger to season 7 of Legends, because again, that show didn't get to say farewell the proper way. And also Jay Garrick, the Traveler of the Multiverse. Jay Garrick, Flash. OG Flash from the CBS show back in the day was like in everything. He was in The Flash. He was in fucking Stargirl. The dude was all over the place.
Stargirl, right?
Yeah, he was in Stargirl also. He was the only character that crossed over. So, I don't know. Those are the mysteries that will go unchecked.
And the one I added, who the fuck was Gotham Knights for?
Yes,
I'll say the Jay Garrick thing, that is the biggest one. I'm okay with letting the Jay Garrick thing go. Like, he fucking wanders the multiverse. He's the Flash. The Flash can do shit like that.
Yeah, especially like Golden Age Flash can do that. So.
Right. Right. So I'm willing to hand wave that.
And one thing I do want to acknowledge, though, before we wrap this up, is the crossover events that they had. The last one was Crisis on Infinite Earths, which, whatever. It was just wacky reference galore, bonanza. But it had some cool things. We did get Brandon Routh as Kingdom Come Superman, which was sick.
We did?
Like, that was cool to see. They acknowledged Birds of Prey on that. They acknowledged they got Smallville on there. Like, they had a lot of cool shit. We even got a Batman 89. It got all the cool Easter eggs. It just didn't really have much of a story to tell. I didn't like the Oliver Queen Spectrum thing. Like, I thought that was just dumb. So, I don't know. That was pretty silly. And it also fucked up the last season of Arrow also, because he died before the fucking last episode.
Oh.
Yeah, it's totally
he would have to do. That sucks.
Yeah, it ruined a lot of things.
But it did. Christ on Infinite Earths did solidify him as the Arrowverse Jesus. Like, all kidding
No,
aside,
yes, it
right?
did.
Like,
Yes.
he resurrects and looks over, which I didn't mind. I mean, whatever. It's a nice end to that character. But I agree with you. If we're looking at just their crossovers, I think some were done so well, but as they tried to scale them up, they kind of got unruly. Like that first one where they were like going to, the Nazi world with Captain Cold.
That's what I was getting at. That was the second one that they did.
Okay.
Crisis on Earth X. Crisis on Earth X. I shit you not. Dude, that thing came out around the same time as Justice League came out. That was the fucking superior Justice League film, if you want to call it that. That was the better Justice League. I will put that toe-to-toe with Justice League any fucking day of the week. Crisis on Earth X is absolutely awesome. And probably, I can't rate it in the Arrowverse because it's not its own season. But man, that crossover event was spectacular. That is what showed you what the height of it was. They never topped that again.
No. And the one after that wasn't bad. Ooh, excuse me, right? Because there was one after that, and then it was Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Crisis, I think, had good parts, but it was unruly. They would they overreached. There was too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had it was really awesome that you got all these cameos, but again, the story overall just didn't work. And I get the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and again, I didn't personally like that. That's how Oliver Queen. I wanted Oliver Queen to, number one, end on his own show on a much more grounded thing. Like, that was too big for a fucking Green Arrow. Come on. Like, it's Green Arrow. It's like he should have been
I agree.
Kept in street level like that. Like, that's where he should have been, because that's when Arrow was at its strongest.
Yeah.
Is when Oliver Queen's fighting like, again, Deathstroke, the Terminator, and all of that. Like, that's where he is. That's where he needed to be.
Right, with the League of Assassins.
That's the shit.
John Barrowman. I forget what his character was, but John Barrowman, like, I know was
Dark Archer,
a big antagonist for him, and Dark Archer, like, that was a great storyline.
Yeah, that's where it needed to be, because they eventually did turn Oliver Queen and / Arrow into Batman. He was the Batman of this universe, essentially.
Yes. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but he was created. Do you know why he was created in the comics?
Good.
So he was created in the comics. Him and Martian Manhunter created around the same time because DC was spreading Batman and Superman so thin because they were the most popular two, that they were like, we need a godlike character and a street level character that we can use so we can kind of stop oversaturating the market with Superman and Batman. So it's funny you say he's the Batman of that, because he absolutely is, and that was the reason the character was created. It worked so well on that show up until he starts going toe-to-toe with the Anti-Monitor and shit. That's like Batman going toe-to-toe with Darkseid by himself.
Yeah, like, I don't know. You don't do that. You couldn't have done that. And I'm sure you ask Stephen Amell, like, he would tell you straight out, like, listen, man, we should have just kept it where it needed to be. And, again, facing, like, not magic, no godlike creatures, keeping it on a street level thing. And that show would have probably, they would have kept going pretty strong. But, fortunately, got too big.
Yeah, agreed.
For a while. All right. So that kind of, I guess, man, that wraps it up for the Arrowverse, man.
That wraps it up. Well, here's one for me.
One
from my homie.
Farewell, Sweet Prince.
Farewell, Sweet Prince. I can't believe it's over, man. I can't believe it. One positive. Here's the one positive. I never again have to use the CW website to watch anything because it's awful.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to watch the CW for anything now. You kind of got rid of the only things I've been watching on your network for a long time now. So, I mean, good luck with your new direction since you decided this wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't even watch TV anymore. I stream everything, but
yeah,
I had to do this for the show because normally, if it wasn't for the show, I would literally wait the 2 weeks it's going to take for this show to be put wherever. Where's DC go? Max, right?
Max, yeah.
I'd wait for this to be put on Max, then I would have rewatched the whole thing in like fucking binge. That's how I usually do it. Because I was following it for the show, and I don't, we have cable, but like I watch it on my computer now. Like, my wife and my kid are outside. I gotta come in here and do my stuff. But, the CW app was so bad in the website. Like, you'd play it, and then you'd get your commercial, and for me, commercial would freeze. The commercial would be spotty. The commercial would crash the app or the site, and then I would reload it. And I'd have to start the commercial at the beginning. It took me an hour and a half to watch an episode.
Nice.
So that's the upside, is I never have to deal with that again. But I had to see the Arrowverse collapsing as it is.
Well, guess what? If you want to watch Superman and Lois and everything like that you want to catch up on, I'm sure the final season will be on Max soon enough. Wait until it's on Max. Knock it out then.
Yep.
It'll be great. I think the other CW shows are on there. The Arrowverse shows are on Max now. I could be wrong, but I think they were all moving to there eventually. So, and listen, that poetically clears the way for James Gunn's DCU, which starts tomorrow.
Yep.
Actually, with Creature Commandos.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow. No rest for the wicked, man. I got to go right back into watching stuff.
Yeah, no, we have, I believe they're dropping 2 episodes tomorrow on Max. So as we say goodbye to one DC universe, another one begins, and it is this starts it. This is the unofficial sort of start, because again, Superman next July is like the theatrical kickoff, but this is connected to it. This is all supposed to be intertwined. So, we'll see what they got. I mean, it's gotten great reviews, by the way, because James Gunn actually did this show.
Yeah.
Also, so it's it's gotten really good reviews to start off with, and we'll be talking about it next week.
And this is right up Gunn's alley. I mean, we all love the Suicide Squad.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what he does well. We all loved Peacemaker. He takes characters that no one knows about or no one thinks about, and he fucking does something and makes it fun and relevant. And I would be shocked as shit if that's not what this does for characters I've probably never heard of.
Yeah, likewise. So, all right. So listen, you'll catch us back next week. We will be talking about the premiere of Creature Commandos, and also we will be ending the Crow run finally with the Crow Wicked Prayer. This is this is a goodbye we wanted.
It's a great goodbye. Fucking great goodbye.
Yeah, and listen, after that, we might be saying another goodbye, Jason, because we're going to see Kraven the Hunter next Thursday. We will hopefully be saying goodbye to the Sony Spider-Man the Spider-Verse in 2 episodes.
In all fairness, Ed, I will be saying goodbye to the Sony Spider-Man the Spider-Man movies, whether this is the last or not. I can't do any more of these, man. If they're like, oh, I wiped my ass and it looks like, no, we're putting a movie on. No, I'm out. These movies, none of them have been good. Even if this is good, it means one of them was good. We got to stop the madness. We can't keep supporting this as consumers, as people who like this stuff. We can't keep giving them more money. We got to take a stand, and the stand is at the end of Kraven. If they put another one out, we all collectively say, no way. Who's with me?
We will. No, I'm hoping it's the end. It's the end. It has to end with this. It has to end with this.
It has to.
For the love of God, it must end here. But, Listen, we will end
Eddie. Eddie, let's go smoke a spliff. Let's watch cops rape women against cars, Eddie.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Venom would definitely be telling him to watch like The Crow.
Eddie, we're going to get popcorn. We're going to get stoned. We're going to watch The Crow. Are we going to watch the good one, Venom? No, we're going to watch Salvation. Oh, okay. Before we watch City of Angels, Eddie.
Listen, thanks for joining us as always. Join us on the Facebook live stream. Check us out on Granny's PC's Facebook group, and also check out Pop Culture Pros. We got a lot of cool stuff going on the network. We got all our episodes up there and a lot of other stuff. So come join us there. Joining us on YouTube, check out and subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. And wherever you found your audio and podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Jason and I, like I said, we'll be back next week. We'll be closing out with The Crow Wicked Prayer, and also the premiere of Creature Commandos, kicking off the DCU. So check us out then. Jason, we will also be back PCP Deep Dive Sunday night.
That's right. We're going to be back this Sunday night. We're going to get into Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. We finished all but one of the Freddy proper, movies. We finished all the solo Freddy proper movies, and now we're kind of heading on into the other stuff. But come join us. It's been a great time. It's Ed, it's Ginny, it's myself, it's Tim. We get together, we shoot the shit, we cut. We're all cutting the things up. Ha ha. And listen to us, and you'll never sleep again.
All right, so that should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do my rewatch of it. I mean, I'm gonna let's see. I think over the next day or two, I'm probably gonna watch Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So I'm excited, man. It's been a minute since I've seen it. So
I'm gonna have to watch it Friday. I think that this might be the one that I've seen the most.
Okay, interesting.
I think I've seen this one the most. Because it's one of those things. Like there was one Halloween. We used to, before I had a kid, we'd go out us and my wife and my friend Sarah and our friend John, and we'd always dress up, and we'd come over our house and we'd dress up. And so many times I'm like, I'm just going to put on New Nightmare because it's on cable, and I'd watch it while we're getting dressed. So that's why I've seen it. It's one of those movies that's always on. Can't wait to talk about it. Please join us Sunday night, 8:30. I don't know how Ginny feels about this because we like it. It is, but it is also considered a bad one of these movies by some people. So I don't know. Ginny could love it. Ginny could be apathetic about it. It depends on how bad it is, because she'll love it if it's bad.
Well, tune in and find out Sunday night, and we'll see where this one takes us. And we haven't seen it in a while, so see how it goes. So, all right, man. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you then. Peace.